to our online Bible study here at Grace Point Baptist Church. Hope you're having a wonderful Thursday or wherever this video finds you. Hope you're having a great week. Tonight you can turn to Matthew chapter 18. Matthew chapter 18. A while back, I had a gift given to me. That was a very generous gift. Someone was very kind and courteous. And one thing they said to me when they gave me this gift was that the Lord had been very good to them, and they knew they were called to be very good to others. And I knew what that meant. God had blessed them in a certain way where they were able to share that blessing with other people. And that really has to do with forgiveness. When we think about forgiveness, oftentimes we don't think of us giving somebody something. Oftentimes we think of us having to forget something or to put something behind us. And really, when we offer our forgiveness, we're giving somebody a restored relationship, the opportunity for a restored relationship at least. And we're giving them, in a sense, the opportunity to feel a certain peace that comes with being forgiven. When we were forgiven as children of God, when we were forgiven of our sin, of our faults, we inherited a peace that passes all understanding. Let's see what that looks like in Matthew 18, verse 21. It says, Then Peter came to him, as we read before, it says, and said, Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me, and I forgive him? Till 7 times 7? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. What is Christ saying to Peter? He's saying, you don't need to keep track of how many times you've forgiven somebody. Be a forgiving person. Forgiveness should be part of your character, should be ingrained in really who you are as a child of God. Be a forgiving person. Don't keep score. In other words, when I get in an argument with somebody or something comes up, I'm not supposed to have a big box of ammunition and say, hey, you did this, last year you did this. Remember the time you didn't do this when you said you were going to? I'm not supposed to keep score and keep record of all the things they've done wrong. You know, I try to exercise, as I believe we should, discernment while I forgive. But when I'm called to forgive somebody, I'm forgiving them in the present for something they've currently done against me. And when I come and apologize for something I've done against someone else, something I've done wrong, really it's so much more discouraging, so much more difficult to seek reconciliation from someone who keeps score, who keeps account of all your wrongdoing, all the times you've failed and messed up. You know, the best way to do it is, I forgive you. My forgiveness is offered freely to you. You've apologized. Let's make this right. Let's join back together and be friends and make sure that there's nothing between us. There should be nothing between us and other fellow servants of God and other people. So when we look at how many times we ought to forgive someone, Christ is really saying, don't keep count, just forgive. Be a forgiving Christian. Looking at verse 23, Therefore is the kingdom of heaven likened unto a certain king, which would take account of his servants. And when he had begun to reckon, one was brought unto him, which owed him 10,000 talents. This is an unimaginable amount of money that is owed to this king. And so in verse 25 it says, But for as much as he had not to pay, his Lord commanded him to be sold, and his wife and children and all that he had, and payment to be made. The servant therefore fell down and worshipped him, saying, Lord, have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. Then the Lord of that servant was moved with compassion, and loosed him, and forgave him the debt. But the same servant went out and found one of his fellow servants, which owed him 100 pence, nothing compared to what this servant had been forgiven. And he laid hands on him and took him by the throat, saying, Pay me that thou owest. Verse 29 says, And his fellow servant fell down at his feet and besought him, saying, Have patience with me, and I will pay thee all. And he would not, but went and cast him into prison till he should pay the debt. So when his fellow servants saw what was done, they were very sorry, and came and told unto their Lord all that was done. And his Lord, after that he had called him, said unto him, O thou wicked servant, I forgave thee all that debt, because thou desiredst me. Shouldest not thou also have had compassion on thy fellow servant, even as I had pity on thee? And his Lord was wroth, and delivered him to the tormentors, till he should pay all that was due unto him. So likewise shall my heavenly Father do also unto you, if ye from your hearts forgive not everyone his brother their trespasses. When I think of the forgiveness that God has offered us, I think of Ephesians. I think of Romans 5. If you jump over to Romans 5 real quick. Romans 5 verse 8 says, But God commendeth his love toward us, and that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. While we were yet sinners, even while we were enemies of God, even while we were completely, and as this passage continues to say, while we were completely separate from God, warring against him and his plan, Christ died for us. Christ made a way for us to be forgiven, for his forgiveness to be freely offered to us. I was just speaking yesterday with a few guys at a Bible study at Valencia College in Orlando about the love of God and how God's love was so powerful that it sent Christ, his very own son, to die on that cross. But it wasn't just his love that sent his son to hang on the cross. It was his justice. God is a just and righteous and holy God. How can we, who have been forgiven an eternity in a place called hell, how can we, who have been forgiven such a debt, withhold forgiveness from those who wrong us? It's just like this servant who owed such an unimaginable amount of debt, who was forgiven that debt, and then he took his anger out and was unwilling to forgive and to offer his forgiveness to this servant who owed very little. No matter what someone does against you, it cannot compare to the sin that we committed against the God of the universe. And so when we try to withhold our forgiveness from someone else, it's really trying to take our forgiveness and place it above God's. We can be so petty, we can be so shallow sometimes. Think on this passage, think on this verse. I want to turn to Ephesians 4 as well. You jump over to Ephesians 4, verse 32, the end of that chapter. It says, And be ye kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. Look at this. Even as God, for Christ's sake, hath forgiven you. It's often very hard to forgive someone when we're not thinking and meditating on the love, the mercy, the grace, the forgiveness of God. I think it's so important to come back to this very often. That's why daily devotions, meditation, prayer is so important. We're supposed to be thinking on this. What God did for us. How much, true worship isn't about singing. True worship is really recognizing who God is, recognizing who we are, and falling down before him in gratitude, just lifting him up, magnifying who he is. When you start to think about who God is and how holy he is, how powerful he is, how all-knowing he is, how all-present he is, and how tiny and minuscule and weak we are, it becomes a lot more easy to forgive someone. Reflect on these things. Think on these things. I'd encourage you to read this passage again, Matthew chapter 18, 21 through 35, and to think on Ephesians 4, to be kind one to another. That word kindness isn't talking about just words. Not supposed to be just, speaking kind things. That word kindness is speaking about an action. How do you treat people? We've talked about this before. It's so important. How you treat people is a reflection of how much you love God. Because if you love the Lord, you value what he values. God values each and every one of us. We are beloved and cared for and sought after and pursued by the creator of the universe. We are his creations. We are his children. How are we supposed to love God while mistreating his very creation? We can't. It's impossible. And so be kind one to another, tender-hearted, be caring, be thoughtful. How does this impact that person's life? How do my actions and my words affect how that person feels? What kind of things could that person be going through today? We have no idea the kinds of circumstances and trials and difficulties that others are facing. We must be tender-hearted and forgiving. A lot of times it just means to let things roll off of our back. You ever heard that analogy with like a duck? We had, this is quite cliche. Everyone says, hey, just let it roll off your back. But think about what that means. We had ducks growing up, and along with our chickens and turkeys, and my brother had quail, and we had quite a little farm going on. And the ducks, when you watch them, it's so true. When they get wet, they get water on them. When they get out, it just rolls right off. That's the way God made them. It's a perfect picture of how we ought to live our lives. Things happen. People mistreat us. People say things to us or against us. Whatever it is, try to let it roll off your back. Turn to Colossians real quick. This will be the last place that we go to. Colossians 3. It's a great passage. We'll just start in verse 12 and read through. It says in Colossians 3:12, it says, but put on therefore as the elect of God, holy and beloved bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long suffering, forbearing one another. What does that word mean? It means putting up with, bearing with one another, and forgiving one another. So when we forgive, there's an aspect of forgiveness that really has to do with forbearing, putting up with. There are some things that people do that are just going to rub you the wrong way, or just irritate you, and they might not even know they're doing it, or even they're not even making a conscious effort to do it. But as children of God, we need to forbear and forgive. Forgiveness is so powerful. It not only has transformed us to be children of God, but if you will offer your forgiveness to those who have wronged you and not withhold that and grow bitter, if you'll be a forgiving Christian, so much peace and joy comes out of that. So I don't know every detail about every one of your lives. I'm across the screen here. I'm in a different place. God might be dealing with your heart in this area of forgiveness, in this area of bitterness. Answer to the Holy Spirit. Call upon the Lord. Ask him to help you be forgiving. Ask him to help you be forbearing and patient and long-suffering. Ask him to help you root out the bitterness in your heart, if there's bitterness in your heart. If God's dealing with you right now, when we're finished, take some time to pray, get close with the Lord, reflect on his forgiveness, reflect on his grace and mercy, and what that means for you. And it will become a lot more easy to forgive those who have wronged you. And we hope to see you this Sunday. We're looking forward to Easter coming up, where we're really reflecting completely on the sacrifice of Christ and his resurrection and what that all means for us, and how we get to have a relationship with him because of that. I really hope you'll come, be here for that. It's just a couple weeks away, April 20th, right here at Grace Point Baptist Church, 796 Joy Street, Ormond Beach. Hope you can join us that morning, 7 a.m. We're going to have a sunrise service. We'll have a breakfast after that, where we can fellowship with each other, and then we'll have a service at 9 a.m. Be here for that. If you come this Sunday, take a few of these cards with you, pass these around, share the word, and invite some people. Looking forward. I hope this message was an encouragement to you. It's something I need to be reminded of. We all need it. We all need to be forgiving Christians, exercising the very same thing that Christ offered to us, forgiveness. Hope to see you this Sunday. God bless you.